We're not out there half-stepping. It's going to go fast. That's probably the biggest lesson I can tell you by experience. It is going to go fast. So be locked in.
Hey there, and welcome to the Recruiting Masters Podcast, episode 24, brought to you by the CFC Insider. I'm Burt, content manager for CanadaFootballChat.com, alongside Clint, lead analyst and head of the Scouting Bureau, and a former U Sports head coach. Clint, how are you?
Good. Just looking forward to the Christmas break and looking forward to getting out and watching the rest of these combines before that break.
So yeah, you're heading off to Calgary and Edmonton this weekend. You were just in Burlington and Brampton last weekend, and I heard it went pretty well. I was hoping to get out there with you folks, but unfortunately, I'm a prisoner on my couch with my leg above my heart after full reconstruction ankle surgery. So I'm really hoping to be rehabbed and ready to go for the March selection camp, so I can, get back with my roadie crew.
I take it that's an old football injury.
Yeah, right. But no.
Combines are going well. There's been a really good turnout. There's lots of good kids. Our database just continues to grow, and as that happens, so does our list. And our list is getting more and more competitive. Most of our kids now in the top end of our list are getting looks from everywhere in North America, and the entire list is getting a good solid look from here in Canada. So it's going extremely well, and it's super exciting going into our second year, getting set for the TSN game, as I call it. I know you guys call it.
That would be the CFC prospect game broadcast on TSN.
Yes, so you guys know that's probably the kind of the cream on the top of it for me. Just kind of making sure we get the best 70 kids in the country to play in that game. It's gotten off to a great start, even more so than last year when it was in its first year, and we had a great start that year as well. But I've been really surprised by the turnouts and the talent so far.
So we're those lists that Clint is talking about. I'll just expand on that. Those are the CFC player class rankings that we've been doing since approximately 2013. So that's the CFC 100, the CFC 150, and just recently the CFC 200, as well as those are the high school rankings, as well as the CFC 60, which is the CEGEP and junior college rankings. And then we also added new this year the CFC 10, which is the specialist list, and the U Sports CFC 40 and the NCAA CFC 40. So those are all on our rankings tab on CanadaFootballChat.com. You can check those out. There's a lot of great talent on there, as Clint was saying. But before we get to there, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, @ChatFootball, Instagram, CFC_football, and YouTube. You can hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel so that we can get all the cool stuff that comes with that. And don't forget to sign up for your exclusive CFC Insider membership today. Just hit the subscribe button for your access to these great rankings that I just said, analysis, and daily football recruiting news and coverage across Canada. So Clint, coming up, we said in the last week's podcast, we'll just briefly go over it again. The CFC All-Canadian nominations have begun. Last week, the first and second teams released the week of December 16th. So the criteria, remember, is any player who's on track to qualify as a national in the CFL draft and has played their high school football geographically inside of Canada. So if you think you deserve to be nominated, you can once again go to CanadaFootballChat.com and click the nominations under the recruiting tab at the top menu bar on CFC and select CFC All Canadians, and our Scouting Bureau will review all of those submissions and film. You need your film. Don't forget that. That's very important. So the event schedule for the CFC prospect game that is being broadcast on TSN, and which these open trials right now are for. Calgary and Edmonton are this weekend, Friday the 13th and 14th, and then we'll be heading off to Moose Jaw, Vancouver, Montreal, and Winnipeg in the new year. So Clint, we're going to go over some of these Calgary and Edmonton prospects that we've looked over on the registration page, and we're curious to see. We've seen some of these kids last year. Some of them we're just learning about. So let's get right into it. We've got Kale Strom, who's a 2022 kid, defensive end from the Chinook Coyotes. Now, so he's a 2022 kid. He's 6'4", 245 pounds, and I think we probably sound like a broken record right now, whereas you can't teach size or length. And we're just really intrigued by his frame. What do you think about him, or what do you think you're going to see in him?
Hopefully we see a young man who can move around and can change direction and such, because, like you said, you cannot teach 6'4", 245 pounds. And he's the class of 2022, and the fact that he's from Alberta means that he's actually the class of 2022.
Us from the West don't get that whole Ontario
post-grad thing.
It doesn't. I don't know.
Drives me nuts. It doesn't drive me nuts that they post-grad. It drives me nuts that they don't tell us they post-grad.
Yeah, because you were a post-grad yourself.
Yeah, so it's like, there's, not to get away off of what we're doing right now, but like there's 4 or 5 CFC 100s last year who committed to universities and then decided to go back to school and not tell anybody, and we could have put them back on the list. And no, you ended up hiding yourself for a year. Anyways, totally off base.
But we're okay. We're fine with that.
Cale Strong, class of 2022. So that means he's essentially grade 9 going into grade 10, correct?
Right.
Okay. He's 6'4", 245 pounds. So you don't see that very often. So we're hoping that his numbers kind of match his length and his height and his weight, because if they do, Cale Strong will, as they say in the recruiting world, blow up.
And then we've got Jack Dutton. So this name sounds familiar, but I don't think it's any relation to one of our previous CFC 100s, Dutton. Joe Dutton, yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jack and Joe are probably related.
So he's a 2021 kid linebacker plays with the Holy Trinity Knights in Okotoks, I believe. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. Prototypical middle linebacker. He's tough. Was on the verge of making the CFC prospect game last year as a sophomore. What do you think about him?
I really liked him. I saw him I actually worked him out. For those of you who don't know, if you make it through the first round, you go into the second round. Essentially the selection camps for the prospect game that's on TSN. I worked them out myself because in our selection camps, format is very much like the pro day you see on the NFL combines. We've actually just copied the NFL combine, to be quite honest with you. So I actually put him through the paces last year and was really impressed with them. And he's totally got that mentality of a throwback. And those of you who really like football know exactly what I mean by throwback. So think about tough, hard, inside linebacker. That was him. And he worked hard. And I pushed those guys extremely hard. They were gassed at the end. And he was ready for more. So, he has the right mentality. There's points, I watched this film this year where he almost looked unblockable. He's obviously fit because I don't remember him being 6'1", 205. The kid I saw last year, I would say, was probably like 190. So, yeah, Jack, I'm sure Jack will be one of the top linebacker prospects in Alberta coming up.
Well, in that Holy Trinity program, just won the number 1 spot in the CFC 25 ranking, small school ranking that we did this year. So
they're always really good, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're a pretty good team. So moving on, we've got Hart, a 2020 kid, a linebacker from St. Francis. Again, another CFC 50 top 10 team. He's 5'10", 180 pounds. His film caught our eye when he was playing last year in Winnipeg with the Vincent Massey Trojans. Curious to see what he does in this tryout. He's athletic, seems to have a good feel for the game. What do you want to see out of Austin this year?
I'm not sure. He's more of a wild card, and I think his name just kind of stuck out because we saw his JV film in Vincent Massey, and we were somewhat intrigued, even though he was on a loaded Vincent Massey team. And then all of a sudden he ended up at St. Francis. I'm not sure how he fit in at St. Francis right off the bat. I don't think St. Francis is the place where you just parachute in and play, unless you're like an elite level player. We've had a chance to watch them play live once for sure. You may have seen them more than once. And they're like a super impressive program, like physically looking impressive. So, the fact that he had some clips and some highlights on his huddle, which were interesting. So he's kind of a wild card. I'm kind of curious to see what we're going to get. 5'10", 180, as a linebacker, that's kind of small. You know what? If he's a tough kid and he can run, that's perfect size.
Well, and Vincent Massey's a great program.
Well, Vincent Massey, St. Francis, he got to experience last year, you could call Vincent Massey the top program in Winnipeg.
Because they won it.
Because they won it last year. They didn't win it this year, but they won it last year. So he would have been exposed to the right culture and he's exposed to winning. And his film jumped out to us when he was in JV. So he was our wild card at that combine in Calgary.
And then we've got Grayson Taylor, another youngster, 2022, a guard, goes to the All Saints High School, which I believe is a Tier 3 in Calgary, a newer school. He's 6'4", 295. And so again, you can't teach that size. So it'll be interesting to see how he moves that big body, his coordination, and that type of thing. What do you want to see out of him?
I want to see him go toe-to-toe with Cale Strong. Because you basically have two kids from the class of 2022 who have outstanding heights and weights. Essentially, they have outstanding measurables. So I'm hoping that these two don't disappoint. Once again, we're kind of bringing some attention to Grayson and Cale earlier because of their measurables. So hopefully their test scores, so even some more measurables, kind of go their way and they can kind of really get their name out there. Because, I mean, let's be honest, if you can move at 6'4", 295 and you're 9 going into 10, so class of 2022, everybody's going to know who your name is by the end of grade 10 going into grade 11. So, hopefully he can move. Hopefully he's in shape. And we're looking forward to actually seeing some of these prospects in person.
And then we've got another St. Francis player, the quarterback, Luke Nolan, class of 2021, 6 foot, 188 pounds. He showed flashes as a quarterback, but he's also a legit special teams player. Like, this kid can kick. I remember watching him on the stream online over the summer, and like, he's got a leg. He also seems to be pretty level-headed, and I wonder, do you think he's going to be the dude with the Browns next year?
He might be the dude, as you're saying. So that would be the quarterback. He kind of, I don't know what the quarterback situation was at St. Francis this year. We saw them play against Mount Doug, and I'm not sure if he got as many snaps as the other kid. They had multiple quarterbacks for St. Francis.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he was the quarterback that came back for off an injury, but I'm looking forward to see what he can actually do. Because, I'm just kind of curious when the kids come out of the top end programs and they play multiple positions and they've played on different teams at different levels. I'm always curious to see exactly where they fit in and what their ceiling is. Mm-hmm. So he definitely falls into that category right now.
For sure. And then heading into Edmonton, we've got Tyler Morris, a 2022 player, again, defensive back, 6'3", 165 pounds. And the height snob is going to come out in us here. So he's a big, tall, long back. Seems to have good ball skills, and he can hit. What do you think about him? Yeah,
big, tall. He's playing BB right now. You just look at his measurables and you watch him how he moves on the field, though. I would venture to say he's going to move closer to the box as he gets older. So, but yeah, you're right. He is tall and he is long. There was a couple of clips on there where he actually laid into some people as far as he was running through contact. And he also demonstrated he's got some ball skills. So yeah, I'm totally curious. But usually kids like that at that age, he's going to end up moving closer to the box as his career goes on. 6'3" will always catch your eye at most every position.
And a 2022, so he's got still a lot of years to go.
Yeah.
So then we have Noah Segal. He's a 2021 class defensive end from Camrose Composite. Another 6'3", 230-pound prospect. It's a perfect size for a bookend, but does he run like a bookend?
Well, we'll see, all right? That's one of the reasons we kind of highlighted him and have made reference to him is the fact that he's 6'3", 230 pounds. So, I mean, most defensive ends you see in the Canadian game are very much in that range, probably even an inch or two taller than some of them. So, yeah, let's see if he can run. Because if he can run and he has those measurables, he's gonna definitely get his name out there, and people are gonna start to recruit him.
Well, he's a tough kid because he lives in Camrose, which is freaking ice box in the winter. I'm from Calgary, so I can say that. I've driven through there many times. Feel for you, buds.
Yeah.
Then we've got Caleb Taylor, 2021 quarterback out of Salisbury, another CFC 50 ranked high school program. 6'3", 165 pounds. We're going to call him Mr. Long and Lanky, who seems to collect MVP trophies wherever he's gone. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple of people who evaluate quarterbacks with us and for us look at Caleb's film, and they liked what they saw. He definitely is lanky. And hopefully somewhere over the next calendar year, he adds some meat to his bones. But yeah, you can't argue with the fact that he can chuck it.
He can chuck it. And he's pretty accurate.
You know what? for me, when I watch this film, is that he actually understands timing, and he can actually like throw kids open. So, like most young quarterbacks, there's things to work on. For me, his biggest thing to work on is putting some meat on his bones. But yeah, hopefully he can bulk up like his older brother Jake. Not that I'm comparing him to Jake, because that's always annoying when you're compared to your older brother. I have an older brother who was a really good hockey player, but I don't think about that anymore.
That's okay. You're okay.
I was a football player, which is way cooler. Anyways, but yeah, that's Caleb. Caleb puts some meat on his bones, but you know what? He plays extremely well. He's on winning teams. He wins a couple MVP trophies. And I think he'll probably be in that conversation for like top 3 quarterbacks in
the West.
In the West, well, Northern Alberta for sure. So he's kind of in that window for that. So yeah.
And then we have his, well, I won't say his rival, but he does go to Harry Ainley, which again, CFC 50 program that the two of them battle it out every year. And the other quarterback, Jaxon Hornet, who did play a few games this year due to the first string getting a little banged up. So Jaxon is a 2021 class, 6'1", 190 pounds. He's looking to take over the reins at Ainley, we believe. As a jack of all trades, he can do a lot of things. We've seen him play at the Fox 40 in BC last year, where he won the offensive MVP. You know, it was a little bit surprising because he was a lot smaller there. But what do you think is going to happen with him at these combines?
He'll be in that conversation. So I mean, he'll be like that top. Those kind of every year, because it seems Alberta has their football pretty much organized. He'll be in that conversation with that group of quarterbacks that are shooting to play on the different teams. Great kid. He was an MVP at the CFC, the game in the Fox 40 in BC. Yeah. So, I mean, he's obviously been part of a championship program. I think he's obviously a quarterback and wants to be known as a quarterback, but I think he played a couple other positions when needed to, and he's athletic enough. But yeah, obviously he's coming from a winning program. He's had an opportunity to understand what it takes to kind of earn your spot. I mean, he was there when Eli was there, Hetlinger.
Yep.
So I mean, but yeah, I would think he's going to take the reins at Ainley, and they're not gonna miss a beat. I mean, and I'm not going to compare him to Eli, but I will say this: when I saw him at the Fox 40, he actually surprised me with how he was able to actually move around the pocket and create plays with his feet. I didn't expect that. Mm. So it'll be interesting to see how he runs at the combine. And yeah, he was at our stuff last year. And honestly, last year he was in grade. What was he in grade 11 last year, or he was going in grade 11?
Yeah, going in.
But yeah, I mean, we had a really good group of like 11s and 12 quarterbacks from Alberta last year. So, but this is his year. I mean, I would say, you know, just off the huff, out of that Edmonton area, that northern Alberta area, it'll be him and Caleb. They're the quarterbacks we would expect to kind of jump out in front. So that's that's what I'm expecting. So.
And then we've got another Salisbury prospect, Nick LeMay. We've talked about him before. He's a phenomenal player, a 2021 prospect, 6'3", 320-pound offensive lineman, plays center, but he probably plays in various positions on the line. He's one of those interior offensive linemen in his class, probably one of the top. And can anybody say the high school version of Marshall Yanda?
Marshall Yanda, my favorite interior offensive lineman. Anyways, but LeMay's basically he's a bear of a man. And even though he's class of 2021, so...
And he moves well.
He's a big dude with the nasty streak.
He moves really well.
Played in the TSN prospect, the CFC prospect game on TSN.
There you go.
So he played in that last year and held his own against some legitimate defensive linemen.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's big and he's strong and he's powerful and he mauls people. So yeah, Nick's one of the top interior offensive linemen in his class, no doubt.
Yeah. And then lastly for Edmonton, we have Derek Newman, a 2021 class defensive end from Bonnyville. 6'3", 250 pounds. He jumps out because of, you know, once again, his measurables. So we just want to see how he moves his big body and if his testing scores are just as impressive.
Where the heck's Bonnyville?
You know, I see it all the time when we're doing the rankings, but to be honest...
Is it a suburb of Edmonton? Anyways, my point was, is he Cody Newman's little brother? That offensive tackle
No, I don't think
that
so.
went to Sal. That's why I was asking if Bonneville's anywhere remotely close to the suburbs of Edmonton or Sherwood Park or whatever.
I think the last name is spelled different.
No, I think we just spelled it incorrectly here.
Oh.
Anyways, but the fact that he's class of 2021 and defensive end 6'3", 250. That I like that. I mean, in the perfect
You'll
world,
take that.
would 6'4" work a little bit better than 6'3"? Yes, it does, even though that drives all of us crazy. But it does. But at 6'3", 250, I'll be interested to see what he can do too. Can he move? Can he run? Please show up in shape. Do yourself a big favor. Anyways, but yeah, if you notice all the kids from Edmonton, the shortest one was 6'1", and we think Jaxon might even be 6'2" now. So let's just say it for argument's sake, the shortest kid was 6'2". So yeah, we got some big kids in Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Big kids. Okay, moving along.
We have Offer That Guy. So this is the part where Clint has picked out a prospect that we really want to give him a shout out. Either U Sports, down south, the border, and just get his name out there because he's a terrific prospect that you would want on your team. So Rylan Callie, class of 2021, a defensive back from Oak Park, Manitoba, 6'1", 175 pounds. We saw him last year. He's a real smooth athlete. I think he was nipped by the injury bug this last season. However, he's a legit prospect that we saw when he played in the CFC prospect game last June in Ottawa on TSN. So we do have some of his testing scores from last year, but why are you so keen on getting his name out there?
I think, well, we say nipped by the injury bug, a bit unfortunate, not too crazy. When he was healthy in the prospect game last year, he looked really good.
Really good, yeah.
He played in the secondary. He demonstrated he can play man and or zone. And I really like those players who can be, if you can play man and you're 6'1", and I mean we have him down as 175, but that's his last year's weight. Yeah, so I'm going to go on a limb and say he's probably put on weight because he's probably training like crazy right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's just an athlete. He's just a legitimate, smooth athlete, and he can backpedal at 6'1". A lot of people. They say, oh, once you crack 6 feet, you can't get really smooth into your pedal. Totally disagree in this case. And then he just had some crazy numbers. The kid had a 34-inch vertical. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, those of you who track testing and know what testing is all about, that's pretty solid. He didn't even figure out our laser system for a 40 right off the huff, and he still ran like a 4.85, which is not great. But then he ripped off a 4.64 on the hand time. So if you kind of look at that, though, and you measure his vert, and we didn't do broad jump last year, which we're getting back to this year. We did the Powerball toss. This young man, he did the Powerball through at 35. So, that's far. So that would tell me that he's explosive. And his T-test, let's go back to the fact that he's 6'1", probably pushing 6'2". He's probably put on some weight. His T-test was in the 4.4 range. Right was 4.47, left was 4.51. So he had some legitimate test scores, and a lot of these, and he's class of 2021. So let's not lose sight of that. So I just think he's a super smooth athlete. He's super athletic. That type of athlete, you could probably build him or morph him into whatever you want because of his height and his length. So Riley Kelly, Offer That Guy.
There's a lot of great players out there that don't fit in that cookie cutter.
If you don't fit in the cookie cutter box, you have to have an unbelievable trait and or asset. So if you aren't the right height or the right weight, you have to be so fast that it's eye-popping, and so on and so forth. You have to have that trait that trumps everything that all those people in the football world have an expectation for. I don't know how many times I've seen a coach 5'11", and then 4'3", and they'll just be like, yeah, okay, that works. Or they'll see an offensive lineman and they'll not be impressed with the length of his arms or the size of his hands or whatever, and then they'll see him go through a series of movement drills and be like, oh, he is so insanely athletic that now he's kind of made up for those other shortcomings. So you really need to do that.
Well, for example, we were talking earlier about the pro player who has the lineman who has the really short arms.
Last night with the Chicago Bears game, we were talking about the left tackle for the Bears. So, and his name escapes me right now, but he's 6'3", which is crazy in the NFL. And apparently he has the shortest arms. At left tackle. And has the shortest arms of all the left tackles in the league. And you're just like, he must be so incredibly athletic and agile. Because I wouldn't venture to say he's probably overweight, because you don't want to carry too much extra weight at 6'3". But yeah, and he's been a starter at left tackle for the Bears for a number of years now. So you have to have something that trumps all those other things that you're not hitting the mark on. So anyways, I don't know why we got off on that, but
these testing scores, these combine scores, will be given to Tracking Football, which is the American company that works with over, I don't even know what the number of their clients are, NCAA D1 programs, who look at their algorithm and they take into account all these testing scores, and if you're a track athlete, all that kind of stuff. And that's what they're using to recruit kids. So it really is beneficial for you to get out to these combines, because we're the only Canadian entity that does this. That's all we have today. I'm pretty sure you're all shaking your heads going, what the heck just happened? Don't forget to register for those CFC events that we've been talking about on CanadaFootballChat.com under the Register Now tab. But just a reminder, these combines are going to be capped. So you don't want to miss out. So register as soon as you can. Right now, there's only a few spots left for the Calgary and Edmonton combines. They may even be closed by the time we publish this. So you really want to get on it. And we have no doubt that that's going to happen in the new year with the other locations. So Brampton and Burlington, we sold out. And there's kids who, unfortunately, we're crying. So we're hoping we'll be actually adding another combine for that in Ontario because of the demand. And we want to see as many prospects as possible in this first round so that we can, this is where we find those diamond in the rough. So follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So Twitter is @chatfootball, Instagram is CFC_football, and YouTube. And don't forget to sign up for your exclusive CFC Insider membership today for access to those great rankings that we talked about earlier, analysis, and all of the daily football recruiting news across Canada. This has been another episode of the Recruiting Masters, brought to you by none other than the CFC Insider. We'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.